In Cape Town, I found the best version of myself. For a month in South Africa, I was making healthy decisions. I was physically active, I was hiking, and I was sleeping well. There were times when I actually wondered, is Cape Town the perfect city? And then I stopped and took a look around. I think it was my first full day in Cape Town. I got unpacked and went to the Victoria Alfred waterfront, which is essentially the most famous tourist destination in the city. It's where the cruises drop off their passengers, and it's filled with shops and restaurants and souvenirs. And it didn't take long before I was happy crying. What got me this time was this group of street performers. They came from out of town to perform some traditional African song and dance. I mean, they're extremely talented, as you can tell just from these clips, but what really brought the emotion out of me was just seeing the sheer amount of joy on their faces. I had spent the previous month in Eastern and Central Europe, and I love it there, don't get me wrong, but the people can sometimes be a little cold. But right away, I was just slapped in the face with joy from these performers, and I didn't realize just how much I needed it. I was loving this, the weather was perfect, and I was so happy to be in Cape Town. And it was only my first day. Cape Town has to be the most naturally beautiful city in the world. It's geographically right against the southern Atlantic Ocean and also features Table Mountain and Lion's Head and Signal Hill. At all times, you can pretty much count on at least one of these being within eye shot. Now, in my normal life, I'm not super physically active, aside from walking, which is a necessity due to being a New Yorker and a traveler. But to put it simply, I don't get enjoyment out of doing almost anything physical. I wish I did, so badly. But the thing is that Cape Town and the greater Western Cape have views from high above that should be on everyone's bucket list. And if one thing can make me an active person, it's my desire to see beautiful sights and rare views. I took the cable car to the top of Table Mountain, where I hiked and climbed across various mountain paths. I saw wild animals, I stood on rocks, and I worked really hard to set up cool shots like this one. Yeah! South Africa is known for its hikes, and with this perfect autumn weather, I couldn't get enough. My favorite was at the Cape of Good Hope, where the hike overlooking the water felt like something straight out of a Mission Impossible movie. Also, the wind was just absolutely gushing, which, I don't know, maybe made it a little bit dangerous. Bachelor. I also loved climbing my way through the lush Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens. I danced a little bit there too. It's absolutely gorgeous, and this is one of the only places in the world where this type of vegetation grows. I'm not usually a big flower person, but I mean, come on, just look at this. Also, there were dinosaurs. On top of my newfound interest in physical activity, South African food, and specifically the sort of Cape Malay cuisine you'll find in Cape Town, is very protein-rich and varied in style and flavor. In the famous and colorful Bo-Kaap neighborhood, I visited Bismillah and ordered the South African specialty bobotie. This dish epitomizes the sort of protein-rich food that I'm talking about. It's basically like a curry-seasoned casserole with beef and egg. Bo-Kaap's history as a former slave quarter is fascinating, and on top of being a culinary destination, it might also be the most Instagram-friendly part of the city. I mean, just look at this. Throughout my month in the mother city, I was eating this sort of Cape Malay cuisine all over town. Why? Well, first of all, because it's delicious, and secondly, because before visiting here, I had never heard of this kind of food in my life. And of course, on a more practical front, I had this YouTube channel to think about, and I wanted to compile all the best foods for you to try on your visit. That, by the way, is a video that I will have coming very soon on this channel, so be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss it. As a result of all my hiking around and eating not pasta, I was sleeping better, I lost a little weight, and I was feeling amazing physically. But the problem is that everywhere you go in Cape Town, and no matter how much you enjoy the beauty, the city's storied history is all around you, for better and for worse. The history of South Africa is long and complex, including periods of control by the English and the Dutch, who took over the territory from the native San and Khoikhoi tribes. The most visible piece of history that you'll see today are the continued effects of apartheid, which only ended as recently as the early 90s. Now, this has led to just enormous amount of wealth inequality across South Africa. In the span of just a short drive, you can go from looking at some of the most gorgeous and expensive seaside real estate on the entire continent and turn a corner to see some serious poverty that is affecting the townships, which is the name for the areas in town that the black members of society were forced to live in. So how does all of this affect you and me? Well, firstly, the exchange rate from the US dollar to the South African rand is very favorable. South Africa is super affordable for an American, with entire meals oftentimes costing me less than $5 US. The problem with all of that is that I started to feel comfortable. I started to enjoy spending time so much in the wealthy parts of town and, taking my hikes and eating my Cape Malay meals, that I found myself avoiding going into areas where I might see homelessness or that someone might approach me asking for money. I wanted to be comfortable. Now, I come from the United States, and we very much have our own version of this. Our country was also segregated for a very long time, and you can see those differences in places like urban centers versus the suburbs. I think the thing is just that the United States is so much bigger geographically that people can keep their rose-colored glasses on perpetually. If you live in Beverly Hills, you can go your whole life without visiting Skid Row. In Cape Town, these two dynamics happen all at once. The beach, right across from the wealthy Camps Bay Boardwalk, is covered with unemployed locals alongside talented artists. And while I wish I could encourage other people, or even myself, to spend time exploring the townships, that wealth disparity unfortunately creates some very valid safety concerns. So what is there to do about it? Honestly, I'm seeking those answers myself. No travel destination is perfect. Cape Town comes close. The incredible food and experiences you will find there is honestly unmatched. I spent an entire month in South Africa and never once left the Cape Town area. That's a big deal. I get bored easily, and the fact that I always had something new to do and somewhere new to go blew my mind. I never even went on a safari. It's like the most famous thing to do in Africa. I did, however, see hundreds of dolphins as they rode alongside the tourist boat. They were leaping and jumping and putting on an incredible show. A show that was almost as great as the lively performances that I saw from the humans of Cape Town, who, by the way, are some of the best singer-dancers that I have ever seen in my life. I fed ostriches by hand as their huge beaks pinched my skin. It was surreal. Their necks are crazy. How does this biology even work? I then proceeded to feel very guilty as I ate ostrich meat later on. A very popular meal in South Africa, and a delicious one. Sorry. I watched penguins of all different shapes and sizes as they lounged around on Boulder Beach. This particular one apparently had somewhere very important to go. Look at him, just shuffling along. That there is a man on a mission. Or a woman, I don't know, I have no idea. I ate braai and boerewors and so many other foods that I had never heard of before. And on top of it all, I found myself feeling more healthy as a result of the more active and outdoorsy lifestyle. It can be hard to be in Cape Town and to feel like you're a part of the wealth disparity. That was something that I was dealing with the whole time. But at the end of the day, I do think that the tourism that is coming to Cape Town these days in droves can really only help. The boost to the economy as a result of the tourism is helping many people find jobs and hopefully find a way out of their poverty and into a better livelihood. The simple truth is that when you choose to be a tourist, you are choosing to spend your hard-earned money on other people in other parts of the world. So, in a small way, I do think that we have some agency in this. Book locally owned walking and cultural tours. Tip your Uber and delivery drivers and tip them well. Eat at family-owned restaurants and buy handmade souvenirs. Cape Town did so much good for me. I miss it already. And while no one person can change everything, we can carefully choose how and where we spend our money. And with how incredibly beautiful and active and life-changing a visit to this city can be, choosing Cape Town as your where is not a hard choice to make. You are a majestic butterfly. I love you. Thank you for staying until the end. YouTube knows your taste well and has another video all queued up for you. Click here to watch it now.